everyone. Hi Tracy. This is another special request from you of the gorgeous view you have at Lake Kickapoo, this time in daylight with the sun coming through the trees. Again, I hope I'll be able to do it justice. I thought for a change, instead of starting with a ready prepped canvas, I would, oh, can you believe that? I've only been in here 2 minutes and I have paint on my leggings already. So, as I was saying, I thought I would start right back at the beginning, putting on the liquid white, because it doesn't just appear, it does need applying, because applying this allows me to move and mix the paint on the canvas. What I can't do is put it on too much. If you put on too much, then the paint will actually I have to be probably the messiest painter I know, but as long as there's any product, that's why I tend to wear rough clothes. So, hope everyone's been okay. Obviously, I know you guys will be used to it being hot. In fact, hot where you are. It's probably absolutely boiling where we are, but no doubt you will have aircon. In the UK, we really don't need it that much because we really don't get this hot weather to warrant it, to be fair. And I've just splashed all over the painting, but as I say, that won't matter. I will do underneath, because that will be part of it as well. Usually paint it black, but now I will be doing this video in 2 parts, mainly because the actual painting and then the sun bursting through. I will do a bright spot in the painting, but this picture here, as I said, mucky pup. This bit over here I may need to go back over it when it's dry. Make sure the brush is totally dry, because I've put a little bit too much on, so we'll take it off. The brush will absorb some, and then we'll be left with the perfect amount. If you think your brush isn't taking it off, which to be honest it is, yeah, it's still a bit too much. So what we can do is literally wipe it, bit of kitchen paper, and what's left will be perfect. That was a nail, which is what we want. We want to be able to still see our fingerprint. So I have numerous amount of really old towels, and we'll wipe that down as well, so I don't think that's something else I've got to paint. Okay, so the actual paint that we have, we've got titanium white, I went for Prussian blue, Van Dyke brown, no, that's burnt sienna, Van Dyke brown. I also went for a Payne's grey instead of a black, because it's a more gentler black, and that little bit that's rolling around there is green, sap green. So I will just push and mash that together a little bit so that it stays put. Don't want it all running about. Okay, and what else have I got? Bright red, Indian yellow and yellow ochre. Because it looks to be sort of autumny, the way the sun's reflecting on everything. So that's where I'm going to take it. Although the trees have still lots of greenery, so maybe it's early autumn. Okay, right, so where do we start? We're going to start with a little tiny touch of blue. Don't want a lot because there's not a great deal in there, but I'm going to put a little bit more than there is because that's actually quite a white sky. So that's a little bit blue, but don't worry, it'll come out white later on once I've added in the bright spot. Now the bright spot, I'm also going to bring it down a little bit. So because I can, because it's poetic license, I believe, artistic license, as Mr. Bob used to say, it's my world. I can do what I want. But this isn't my world, this is your world, Tracy. Okay, so dampen it down. I will put a little bit more colour in the corner. Just draws the eye into the actual painting. Don't need much. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to that far corner. There we go. And just bring it in a little bit. And I'll then get a dry brush and sorry, just hitting everything, and gently blend it all in. Okay, and that leaves us not a cloud, but a very bright part of the sky. And then to reflect it, take a little bit from up here, bring it down here, all the way down. It's quite dark at the bottom actually, so have a little bit of Payne's grey. It is quite dark at the bottom. A little bit of Payne's grey, a little bit of blue. Bring that round there. Just give the idea of a little bit of movement. I'll come back up and pretty much join the two. Okay. Ta-da! Finished painting. Not quite. Stick it in. Now the more you work it, the lighter it will get. I know it's quite pale, but I do actually want a little bit of colour, otherwise I think it will be quite a pale picture. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit more down at the bottom. So I'm not sure what is at the bottom there. Perhaps you can let me know, but it must be quite deep because it does look quite dark. So let's get. Now this first step obviously is just basically getting colour on the canvas to give us a start to show all the others. But it's quite a nice mix of colours in there already. Up there. There we go. Okay, there, that'll do nicely. To clean the brush, as I'm using odorless thinners. And when you hear that noise, me drying my brushes, beating my brushes, getting rid of the colour, the paint, and most importantly, the thickness. Okay, so I think we'll do this bit in the background first. Take it across. No, we won't. I lied. I'm going to take some of the white, go straight in. Got a round brush. Want to load it up with quite a lot of paint. Because this here is going to be my mega bright spot. Okay, go back a little bit more. Okay, so there we go. My little brush, my little blending brush. Okay, that's the brightness. All right. So we will go with what we got. We've got a little bit of, we'll start with a little bit of the dark sienna, mix a little bit of the green in, and we will put mixture of the two. Higher there. And then it turns a little bit bluish, so let's add a little bit of blue to it. A little bit of white, get it a bit lighter. Over into the background. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so clean the brush. Awful lot of brush cleaning in this. You should see my feet, honestly. They are like spotty because they are absolutely covered in paint already. Right, so just drag this down so we can have a little bit of reflection. It doesn't matter so much there because that's going to be behind. Okay, and we'll take a knife, get a little bit of the white. Now normally I would thin this, but as it's fairly thin paint anyway, put a bit of a shoreline in. A little bit of, maybe a few little ripples on the pond because of the lake. Because of the shoreline. basically just cutting it in, rubbing it in a little bit, bring it down, there we go. Because having looked at it, there is like 2 levels. There we go. Okay, so if I bring this one back, and then go back into my dark colours, a little bit brown, a little bit light, and then come forward just a little bit. There's a little bit there. Okay, leave that. Really ought to leave it. So I've got one for light and one for darks. Okay, so now I'll go into the lights. Mix a little bit of brown with it. We won't go too soon. And we will just get some odd shapes, tree shapes. And on here. Okay. You can see all sorts of little bits and pieces at the back. Okay, and then if we just take a little liner, go into the dark colours. We'll just put in a few little bits that look like trees and branches and everything. Okay. And maybe mix some of the yellow, the greens, a little bit of white. And just mix it in so that you've got the front, the back and the sides of the tree. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave that like that because I think it looks like there's all sorts of maybe little rocks and stuff in there, so maybe just using a little piece, get a little roll of paint on here, and we'll just do little bits of je ne sais quoi. Excuse me, I've just come back from Paris, so more French. Was Monsieur Baudin there when you were there, Tracy? Sure he was. Did you take Spanish or did you take French? I know you were a little bit younger than us, but not by much. Okay, now I've got this marbled. So all that marbling is now on here, so very lightly. And then there we go. And if you can hear that squeaking, it's not a squeaky bed, it's actually my gazebo from a hot tub. It's very, very windy out, which is quite pleasant today. Let's change. There. Okay. No, I'm not wiping it on the carpet. I have actually got an old towel down there. Okay, so coming forward in the picture, we've got this piece here. It goes off the picture. So we need strip liner. I'm really struggling with some of these because it's been a long time since I've painted. Obviously your picture was the last one. Not done any painting with them since, and they've dried funny, so they're not coming to a point, so hopefully we'll be okay. Right, so first off, before we start with that, we need to do a bit of land. So a bit of black, a bit of brown. Put here, straight down. Again, cut across, straight down. Comes down. And down a little bit further. And then we start coming into the square, which I'm assuming is some kind of a dock or something. Okay, so then I need to put a little bit underneath it. Looks fairly square all the way over actually, doesn't it? So we'll take that to there and come down in front of it. And it looks like it goes along there, turns direction. That's someone's house. Alright, and then it's quite light. Oh, I don't want that yet. That comes through that way. And then there's a white building on top. Okay, so coming back into this. Just trying to pull this together to a, it's just not really. Okay, so from here you've quite, so it goes up that way. Sorry if I go really quiet, but it's because I'm concentrating. I'm basically looking here, and where I'm looking here is what my hand is doing down here. So you would not believe it, I am dripping in sweat. We have found that we now have a nest of bees, a colony of bees that have moved in. Into the garden, so we're having to be a little bit careful. So I'm sorry, I just heard one buzz passing, that's what I wanted to mention it for. I wasn't really going off on a total tangent. Okay. Now it can be a telegraph pole, or it can be a tree without branches. Right, now I'm looking for the dark green, so where's my... That'll do. So this is quite dark green. I'm going to put a little bit of the brown in with it. Don't really want it to stand out because it's not got too much in the way of leaves. There is a tree behind it as well, but okay. And for your grandchildren, I think you said it was, that find my accent cute, I say thank you, Tracy. Because believe it or not, when I went to school with your grandmother, I had an American accent, totally. In fact, I went to a reunion and one of the guys said, did you come to the American school with an American accent and then when you went to England get an English accent, or did you put on the American accent and go back? I said, when I got home, I went back. The only reason I had the American accent was because I didn't want to be, I kept being like singled out a little bit. But I did find that once I adopted the American accent, an awful lot of issues disappeared. So I thought, small price to pay for the length of time I'm over here. And then when I got back to good old Blighty, I'm going to put some others in there because I do think there's a big tree behind there somewhere. So if I put some of that in, some of that, and then where did my go? There it is. A little bit of So yeah. Don't get me wrong, there was never anything nasty, but I just felt more part of things if I was talking with an American accent rather than an English one. Okay, so just going back in the green because there's a little bit of grass on top of there that I didn't see. So if we tap into it, and it's just over there. A little bit. Just a little bit of green. Okay, so now we've got what seems to be sort of white, a little bit of brown in it maybe. It's more white than that. A little tiny bit of blue in it as well, make it whiter still. And then we'll do a little bit of black for the darker side, which is what's facing us pretty much. Okay, hope that's okay. So we have got, to that side we go. I need some cloth. Just to wipe my knife off with a little bit of kitchen paper. So a little bit whiter than that. So the corner is about here, so do just a little bit of white to heighten corners, and then the building goes off at a little angle. Also has okay, and to highlight that, we'll just take a little bit of Payne's Grey, put a little bit underneath. Okay, and there's a little bit of Okay, so I just need to bring it down. A little bit further. Because there's quite a, I don't know if there's a plant or something there. There's quite a dead end to it as well. There we go. Okay. Don't worry about the bottom, we'll tidy that up as we go. Because there's a little bit of a path coming around it. So if I put a little bit, because there's a bit of the light is hitting in here, that's quite bright. Okay, so then underneath that we can do some dark brown, some Payne's grey. Now this actually looks like some sort of brickwork or something, so I'll just come down and then I'm going to put some of this in the water as well, because there seems to be a sort of a sandy muddy colour. Now I know you'd probably think blue and yellow like green, but because I've added the brown, it should take the blue out. Okay, and then there. Okay, so that's that bit. Now we've got these trees in here, which I don't want that one, I want this one. Okay, so my back. About halfway into it, round to about there. Quite a thick tree. Feel like I'm making friends with this tree. Painted him a few times now. Or her. Do we ever know? I think fruit trees have males and females, don't they? I don't know if any other tree does. This is going right up into the sky. I need to give him some really sturdy branches. But because that really bright spot has to get lighter as it goes up. Lose it in that bright spot. And then this one comes from behind somewhere. And then one. Excuse my arm, but as you can see, I've got to do the trees. It's quite funny, that branch, because it actually comes down and around like it's trying to avoid its mate there. Okay. And I think here comes my number 2 son, and he will stick his head in the
we live?
camera. Yes, well, not live,
Oh, okay.
but we are recording.
Excellent. Dad's got the news on, so I'm sitting outside.
I thought that's what was happening.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. And Lewis and I don't do the news, it's too depressing. Especially after yesterday, losing one of my favourite football players. So not happy. Oh, the day before, I can't remember now, it was horrendous. Anyway, okay, so this one's actually in front and it's here. Comes up, crosses over a bit. Looks like he's had something lopped off actually, because he's got quite a bump there, which I should put in. And then this one goes up there. It's actually quite a tall tree. It's very peaceful painting trees. There's no right or wrong. As you know from previous videos, trees have got a mind of their own. This one isn't from my imagination, obviously. It's a proper tree, it does exist. But my escape is, it's my interpretation of it. Actually, it goes off the page. Blimey, it's such a tall tree. And it has another branch. Literally disappears off there. Did I say that last time? It's such a tall tree. Okay, so again we're actually going sort of green and brown mixed to start with. And then I'll do the highlights with the yellow. So we have more colours. Get a little bit more green. That's the chair. Okay, so now I have to wash this one because I've actually used the dark brush as my the light brush as my dark brush, etc. So I need quite a bit of good double white. Okay, so around the edges here, it's very, very yellow. There we go. Perhaps going a little bit greener as it moves out. Catching the light, but not as much. A little bit of white on there. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll take some of the white make that even brighter. And then here's where I wasn't sure whether or not I'd need I'll need to put the white on once it's dry to create that gleam. Okay. Now we've also got an awful lot of trees, so I need the darker colours again. Got tree in the background there. I've got one some green at the back. And he needs a stem, otherwise he'll fall over. So let's give him a stem. There we go. Okay. So now I need a smaller brush, so I'm giving that inch brush, because this is all very dark down here. Then I need my wall, put them back in. And then it looks like a creamy coloured house, so but it may be that it's white, but it's just looks, it's coming across that sort of colour because of the sunlight on it. But I'm going to do it that sort of colour anyway, Tracy. I hope that's all right. So here. And then I need a little bit of dark. Because it is quite dark as it goes around the corner. Go back to the lighter colour. Is that a roof it's got on? Very light grey, but if you don't mind, again, poetic license. I'm going to put it on. It's a bit sort of yellowy greeny. You need that for show the roof, okay? It's got a big door here. And then, like I say, we've got a door. And then you've got a window. We need a little bit of dark just to dark just around the windows. There we go. There. Okie dokie. And then there's quite a, I apologise, not really very good at this today, am I? So there's quite a demarcation. And then we have some land. It's very difficult to reach around the corner. Okay. Okay, so what am I going to do here? So I'm going to do just trees around the corner because I can't really see, and that will bring me into the tree, the house rather. We'll bring it. May or may not be one there, but I'm going to pretend there is. Okay. Okay, and we'll take some light colour, although it's in the shade, darken it with a little bit brown. Okay, so okay. So just gently go over, bring it up. Okay, so now at this point I should be turning it upside down, but what I'm going to do you know what, I think I'm actually going to change my mind, which is not something I do often in the middle of one of these, but I am going to make this a lot darker. The water is quite grey, isn't it? It's quite dark. So that's better. Don't worry about these though. Okay, and then give it a little bit of white up here. Make it a little bit lighter. There we go. Yeah, happier with that. So I am having to put my palette down now, I'm afraid. So I am going to keep disappearing off. So back again. That's better. totally good and dry. Because okay, now down here got another tree. We've also got what looks to be like rocks or something. So let's get this here tree down first. There's a tree coming right pretty much, excuse me, out of the corner. In fact, are these all rocks? Or is that, oh no, have you got a Buddha? Is that, I don't know, is that some sort of a figurine? Or are they rocks? I'm going to paint them as rocks because I'm not sure what they are. But out in the middle of them, before I do the rocks, there is a tree. So I'm just going to build them up like they're just, I'll separate it out. The brush. They need to be a bit darker than that. Although they do have a sort of a bluey purpley tinge to them. Okay, so I think just a little hint. think that's could be a rocky Buddha. But these are actually little flat stones. Looks things so. I'll pop those down. There, just a hint. Okay, do a little bit more. And I don't actually know what's around the corner because obviously I'm at the corner, so I will do the same sort of things. There. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there and I will come back in a few days when it's dried off a bit, and then I'll bring these to a little bit more lightness. Okay, so I'll see you in a few days. Hi again, just thought I would come in and just finish off. There's a tiny little bit I have left to do. It's not very much, but it's quite important. So I'll grab just a tiny little bit of titanium white, tiny little bit, and here the lines are too hard. So in order to bring them down, we go straight in the middle, okay, and just until we get the desired effect. Now I've got a little bit of brown there that needs going over, so we will put a little bit extra there, but very lightly. Okay, and there we are. And then down here, and we'll do the same. And do it that way, just to add a little bit of extra. There we go. And then we'll get a dry brush. Oh, might want to get a dry brush that is, there we go. There we go. We'll take a little bit of green and just go back over that bit. A bit of white. It's just gone a little bit too faint. There. Okay. And to me, I think with pretty much gone where we want to go. So let's get rid of the paint. So we've got the white there. Okay, what I think I might do is just take a little bit more white, because that is quite a little there, a little bit more white, and just brush it in, it goes away. There. Okay, I think, Tracy, I'm happy with that. So I'll put them into clean. Now I did have one script liner brush that was working, so I will do my usual with the bright red. Yeah, it's not splitting. And I will sign, as I always do, need a bit more paint to hold it together. A little bit. There we go. There we are. It's still splitting. Okay, so I'll just, yeah, I think I've got it this time. And I'll just quickly do the beat. Our beat.